Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is going to be my first review of the series Black Clover by Yuki Tabata. Okay, so Black Clover is a series that I caught up to early this year, probably around January, and it very quickly became one of my favorite shonen series by the sheer fact of how hype it is. Like, I cannot stress how hype the fights in these series are. I know some people criticize the series for being Naruto but magic, or criticize the fact that, oh, Asta's voice actor is so annoying, but despite those criticisms, this show, and this manga especially, is extremely hype. Tabata is probably one of the best mangaka for fight choreography, and his fight scenes are masterful. And honestly, it's just amazing. Some of the best scenes in this manga are from fight scenes, and they are all just beautiful. And one of my favorite ones is when Asta, Luck, and Magna stop Langris from attacking Finral. That scene, both animated and in the manga, is probably one of my favorite scenes in all of manga because of how badass it looks and how Tabata just is really good at making those scenes just pop and seem that much more awesome. But with that out of the way, let's get started on the most recent chapter of Black Clover, chapter 258, A Captain's Duty. The chapter begins with Asta and Yami staring down Dante and Lucifero, with both the captain and subordinate marrying each other in stances and movements. Previously, Yami and Dante went at it really hard, forcing Dante to pull out Lucifero and use the power of the devil against Yami. And Yami knows that he can't take down the combined power of Dante and Lucifero by himself, so he has Asta help him out, because Asta obviously has the power of the devil himself, and more specifically, the anti-magic swords, which are able to nullify any magic. So this fight is shaping up to be amazing. And so the strategy for the fight is pretty simple. Yami takes point and Asta tails him as backup. But the only problem is that only Yami can get hits, and Lucifero ensures that Asta can't get a hit with the anti-magic sword. Lucifero and Dante know very well how dangerous Asta is. They consider him an arcane level mage. And so when they see him and they see how he's going to attack, they make sure that they gun for him so he can't get an attack. They know that anything Yami throws at them, they'll be able to recover from. But if Asta gets a hit, there's no coming back from it. And so basically, Yami is blowing apart Lucifero and Dante, but they're easily regenerating, and Asta can't get any hits in. And it's really getting to him. In his mind, he feels that he's wasting Yami's efforts and that he's not getting powerful. He thought in the 6 months that he trained, he truly attained a new level of power, ready to take on the Spade Kingdom. But here he is, facing against Dante and Lucifero, and he's not really getting anything done. And it's really getting to him. How can he become the Wizard King if he can't even be reliable to his own captain? How can he be the Wizard King if he can't take on an invading force? And so Asta becomes desperate, and as a result, he calls out to the devil inside of him and begs for his help. He needs power. He needs power to overcome Dante and Lucifero, and he will do it for any price. And the price that the devil wants is, in exchange for more power, he wants more control over Asta's body. And now, this is a really interesting thing, and the Naruto parallels are obviously similar, but very different at the same time. Asta knows that the devil isn't necessarily the most trustworthy thing inside of him, but he also knows that if he ever wants to progress, he needs to gain access to the power the devil has. And so he says that he must break through his limits by any means necessary if he wants to help Yami. He believes that the words of encouragement that Yami has for him and that Yami believes in him is something that he must take to heart if he ever wants to become more powerful. And especially if he wants to become the Wizard King, he must overcome all obstacles. That includes Dante, Lucifero, and the devil inside of him. And so he knows that even if he gives the devil a bit of his body, he'll have to confront it later on and overcome him. And so I thought that was really interesting and gives us a little bit of insight into how Asta really assesses the dangers of situations. He's willing to give up part of his bodily autonomy to this devil because he knows that if he doesn't do so, even if he doesn't die, many more will die, and the Clover Kingdom may very well come to an end. And so the devil gives Asta some of his power, and Asta undergoes a slight transformation. He obtains a more prominent devil horn, and more of the left side of his body has become completely blackened out, and the fangs that he has grows even longer. He charges at Dante, exclaiming that this is all the power he has, and he intends to use it, and that's really where the chapter ends. Overall, the chapter was a very good action chapter. Not much in terms of plot progression, but obviously fight choreography was really well. Seeing the actions of Yami and Asta mirroring each other as they attack Lucifero and Dante was obviously expertly drawn, and the way that Lucifero dodges the attacks and counterattacks was also really well drawn, just going to show that Tabata is probably one of the best mangaka out there when it comes to fight choreography. This chapter also gave us a little bit more insight into the devil inside of Asta and what his goals are, but we still don't know too much. Overall, it was a good action chapter. It was fairly solid, and I'd give it a 7 out of 10. If you like what you see here, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see more Black Clover reviews, please stay tuned to the channel. Next week, there will not be a Black Clover chapter because of the fact that Shonen Jump will be going on break. This was a pre-scheduled break that they had due to the Olympics, but since the Olympics was canceled due to COVID-19, they were unable to get back that time, so we're not going to have a chapter next week, but in the week afterwards, we will have a chapter, and you best believe I'll be back to review Black Clover then. This is Shiny Pokemon Incorporated, signing out.